Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Vayuco, and welcome to Personal Pans, conversations about belief, transformation, and all the weird and wonderful things that we experience. Today's guest is Erica Lukes, first of UFO Classified, now of Expanding Frontiers Research. Erica is a former state director of MUFON. She has also had a lifelong interest in UFOs and the paranormal, much like me. I first got turned on to her show because Jack Brewer was on it, and I just fell in love with the way that she talks about, very candidly, very openly, about her experiences in the UFO community, and also how dangerous it can be for people who are vulnerable, because there are grifters and abusers and they don't get called out. And then when she calls people out, she doesn't get supported. There's this conspiracy of silence. And so we had an incredible conversation talking about, again, about grifters in the UFO community, but also more serious issues like domestic violence. And the episode was also just full of a lot of laughter and sass, because we both get very heated, because we both want to protect the people in our communities, especially those who are more vulnerable. So I enjoyed this conversation a ton, and I hope you enjoy it as well.
I feel like with your show, you bring on and talk to people who are more open-minded and willing to have those kind of open conversations and can enjoy the field, but also maintain a certain critical eye about things. Like, let's not just embrace everything wholesale that these people tell us. Like, what's the provenance for this information? Like, what is any of this?
You know what? And it's been such a weird process for me. And I mentioned, I was a true believer. I was drawing UFOs and aliens in third grade.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. And I'm just like, I wish I had that picture, but I'm sure that my freaking teacher was like, you're not drawing Barbies, you're drawing UFOs with it. And I literally had this alien that was zapping lasers out of its eyes, and there's an ant on its back saying, help me. I'm like,
oh, amazing.
Only child here, right here.
Oh, same. So
yeah. Oh my
no
God.
wonder we understand each other.
It's disturbing on multiple levels, but it's like, I just, what I love, I loved learning about ghosts and witchcraft and all of these cool things that at that time it was like, wow, I'm so different, and I'm looking into these things, and then it's like, no, you're not. Okay.
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of weirdos all over the world actually that are interested in this too. Yeah.
Mostly in Utah near Skinwalker Ranch.
I was wondering, I should set a bet, like, when people expect us to mention the ranch first before this episode goes out.
Yep, I know. I've got to quit it. My mother was watching one of my shows the other day, and she's like, knock it off. You've been talking about Skinwalker Ranch. I'm like, nobody wants to hear it anymore.
Again, talking about weird interests. I love astrology. My moon is in Scorpio. I'm like, tell me all the dish all the time. I will keep your secrets forever, but I want to hear it so bad.
Yeah.
And there is so much. And I'm amazed by all of the, when, again, you've been interested in UFOs and aliens and all that for most of your life, right? Almost all of your life. Did you have any idea when you when you started getting into the field that there would be so much backbiting, agendas, trauma, and weird machinations? I'm floored by it. I really am.
Oh my God. There should be an on-call therapist. It's like, what the frick? I literally, I was just thinking, oh, cool, I saw a UFO and I'm going to be MUFON State Director. And, and I was so excited. I joined the organization after I had a sighting here in Utah in 2013. Oh, wow. And I knew that I had specific things that I wanted to do, help turn this organization over from the old 80-year-old man organization that literally their website looked like grandpa's pants. It's like,
yeah,
okay, wow, that must be hot to somebody who's seeing impaired, visually impaired. But so like I totally, I thought that I could do this, and I had no idea, because I remember being at a conference, and I was working for headquarters, and I was like, I'm going to interview people and talk to people and try to learn what makes people tick, like what you do. It's like, just learn about, all these things and make them seem like really amazing people. And I remember just like sitting there, and there was a group of people that were usually like the A-list, and I'm bopping around, and they're all just like, and I just like remember thinking, oh crap. And from then on, it was just like I was getting harassed and targeted, and sexually, I mean, it was just like, not sexually abused, but I was, I was sexually harassed,
Of course.
yes. And it was just like, I thought that we were literally, this was like all about empowering people and like finding answers, having a good time, educating yourself. And that what I ran into was just a bunch of people that A, need to get out of mama's basement, B, need to probably maybe go back to high school and get a couple friends or dates, relive their high school over so they can deal with some of the, high school trauma. I don't know what the crap, but it was like, it's like these people playing in their sandboxes.
People who playing in their sandboxes and thinking they're the king, right? I'm the king of the weirdos. It's like, nobody cares. Like, outside of this little group of traumatized people that you have gotten to fawn all over you, the greater world out there, they don't care. They have their own experiences. They want to talk about it. They want to read the show, they want to do all of these things, but like, what are you really doing here? Again, my background, sociology, women and gender studies, very much rooted in what are people's stories? What are they saying about their experiences? There's so much value in communicating with people, right, and in talking about their stories, and thinking about, so many people see things in the sky, have these similar kind of through lines. What does that mean? We don't know. It's fun to explore and kind of put that together. And then I see these experiences, which were like, I have the answers. I have all these government secrets. I somehow have this information. I'm never actually going to tell you what that information is. I'm just going to drop some breadcrumbs here or there, and then you can make your own connections. But I will keep stringing you along, so I don't actually ever have to disclose anything. When I started reading Jack's Wayward Sons and the disclosure, they've been promising disclosure since the 50s. I had to put the book down. I was like, I can't believe this has been going on for so long.
I know. I mean, it's like, and Jack is just, I love Jack. Jack is just a really neat human being. I'm so happy that he and I are working together. But, I also have, here I've got this archive that is so freaking cool. And it's like, and it's my Pilates studio. And so clients come in and they're like, like my grade school teacher, what do we have? It's Utah, so it's, we have to bridge that pretty quickly. But it's, I've looked back through all of these, magazines, periodicals. I've been gifted so many things, and, from the 40s on, and to look through those and to see that, disclosure never going to happen. But guess what? The white benevolent space brothers from Germany are coming to save the day, in their little space suits. And
that what is astonishing to me too is, again, that lack of a critical eye. Like, friends, let's take a step back. Pretty sure this is racist. Pretty sure this is fascist, at least fascist adjacent. Is this really the information and the stories we want to be promoting to the greater society about what aliens are, about what their agenda is? Is it really? Like, can we have like a little bit of critical thought about literally anything? Erica, oh my God.
I don't know what kind of starseed DNA those people got, but I'm telling you, something's missing. Like a brain. Honestly, and I get, like, I've been very lucky well, actually, I've been very lucky. I've worked my butt off,
Yes.
to go back and to really to look at a bigger picture. And I think so many people in the UFO world, because they're trying to find the one mothership, and this one experience, and they're hanging their hat on Roswell and all this stuff that's already been debunked. And it's like, you guys need to look at the big picture. You need to read personal correspondence between, Donald, Major Kehoe, who was clearly a racist, who clearly he was friends with Charles Lindbergh. We've got some issues going on here. And what are they? And why is it that the good aliens are white, blonde, blue-haired people that are, literally, I've got an old book, it's probably sitting here somewhere, but where, they've got these drawings, and it's like all these, couples in suits. It's like the 50s. And then this guy gets off and everybody's like, I can't make it up. And I just, and then you read the wording and it's just like bonkos. It is bonkos. And I really feel that, you look at this, and this has been a common theme. This is what that world is about.
Yeah.
It's not about discovery. It's not about doing anything other than controlling the masses,
Mhm.
and, finding points like we are right now in American history, where we can manipulate social media and completely take people that have maybe mistrust of the government, or have different ideas about spirituality, or things
Mhm.
like that, and just totally brainwash them.
That the brainwashing, that it's not, I guess it's not technically a cult, but it feels like such a cult-like mentality and a cult-like behavior. And we can't dispute what these leaders, we've decided that certain people have like the true information, which again, they never tell us, but they know, like, we are sure they have it. And God forbid anyone criticizes that, anybody says like, hey, step back. Where did they get this information? B, have they actually disclosed any information, or have they just been teasing us for this eventual disclosure? Or my personal favorite, well, we were gonna say things, but then people started asking too many difficult questions, so we're actually not gonna say anything anymore. Like that,
Oh.
again, is the opposite of scientific inquiry. So it's not science then. And again, sure, you want to play a game, that's fine, but you're playing with people then, and you're hurting people who have had real experiences. And again, my intro into Jack's work was a friend of mine posted a screenshot from The Grays Have Been Framed, where he references trauma. And again, my academic work back in college was all about trauma, domestic violence and all of that. And I'm just like, oh, this is, I think, the key, where you have all these traumatized people who want to believe and want to be part of something, and they're being manipulated by terrible people. For you to use a wounded person, that makes you just categorically a terrible person.
And that's the thing that I've just been, I'm so angry by that. I'm so angry by what I've seen. And I'm angry with the fact that none of the people that have a platform that should be calling this out do.
Yes.
And, it's just like, and I remember talking to, back in the day when I was on the A list, and I was, I would
Yeah.
talk to whatever that means. God, nut list is what it's called. But, clown list, God, freaking insane clown posse list. That's what it's called. So,
So that's a real community. The juggalos actually care about each other.
Yay. But I literally asked, all of the people that are the who's who in insane clown posse, and all of them were just like, I'm like, how can we make a difference? Like, how can we, if somebody's being abused and bullied, or this subject is not being taken seriously, or A, B, C, and D, how can we make a difference right now? And every single one of them said, well, we can't, it's the way it's always been, so we're not going to do anything. Every one of them. And I could name names, but I'm sure if you just go to the conference list, you can see.
It is astonishing to me. It is astonishing to me. It shouldn't be astonishing to me, but I am always flabbergasted when I'm looking at hey, it's pretty clear these people are either abusive, or again, they've lied. They are very clearly grifters. Nobody calls them out. Nobody questions anything. it's just like, okay, let's just accept whatever these people have to say. You know, you're talking about star seeds. I'm not even gonna remember. I think it's Marina Sarin, whatever, the super soldier, like a Nazi adjacent e-girl who's decided that she is like a reincarnation of the Vril, which is made up. What are we doing?
Well, I would say hiding in a closet with a margarita. That's what I'll be doing. I mean, like, I mean, it's bonkers. It is. And now that we've got the political unrest that we have in the country, and conspiracy theories dominate the mainstream, it's like it has gone from, absolute, crazy to completely off the rails and dangerous. And like, I really hope somebody in the intelligence community is paying attention to this crap. And I don't know, it's like, please go to these UFO conferences. Please see what's going on, because this is dangerous.
Dangerous, like sources of social instability, because people have really gone down these rabbit holes. I mean, I can't even remember how I went down. I was bored one day. I was like, I'm going to watch some videos and see where the algorithm takes me. And it ended up talking with these two guys were interviewing this woman who said that she was one of the future soldiers for the US government, and she'd been, sent to the future as a child and then de-aged and brought back. And I thought that was just her. There are multiple people who believe this and who are promoting this idea. And again, as fiction, that's fun. As reality, as something that is happening right now. And again, I don't trust most people. I don't trust the government. I know they're doing things I don't know about, but there's also just the laws of physics and the realm of believability. Like, what is happening here now? And so many people have gone completely off the deep end. And you need to be, if you care about people, right? Again, I think that's my issue with all of this. If you care about the stories or being on the A-list, whatever that is, or the phenomenon more than you care about people, your priorities are completely misplaced. Like, absolutely. It should be people first.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's been interesting to me to learn how many people are, child sex offenders, pedophiles, it's like, and then, oh, it's okay, he was in jail for that, but hey, he's speaking at the conferences and signing books, and all the people that are allegedly worried about this are promoting it. It's just like, what is going on?
At some point you have to take a stand. I had this conversation with my friend Nick. They go by Melanated Magician on Twitter, and they were talking about this idea of, if you don't call this behavior out because you think certain people have access to secret information, whatever it is that you think that they have that you want access to, you are also shutting out all the potential stories, all the potential information from all the people who don't feel comfortable and don't feel safe around that person, and who realize, oh, if you let that person here, I can't be here, right? Like, you are, again, if you've experienced any kind of trauma, like, oh, this is a predator, I can't be around this, and you figure out how to protect yourself. And so what are we saying as a community, as a UFO community, or again, as a paranormal community, when we just allow all this to go run rampant, unchecked? Oh, we can't say anything. Oh, that might be a problem. Really?
Well, it's like when Jan Harzan from MUFON, the executive director, he was caught in a freaking sting soliciting underage girls. And literally, I remember watching the news or the Facebook social media feeds within, that week of that happened. And people, were saying he was right this close to disclosing everything, and they framed him. And I just sat there and thought, you bonko. I mean, yes. Really? I mean, so basically, and I know that that's the common excuse for the day, especially if, the powers that be. It's like, hey, it wasn't me, that FBI. I mean, it's just like, I'm being framed. It's like, oh crap, come on. And that has happened so many times in the UFO community. And it's like, come on. And it's just, I'm, as we know, because I'm a spirited little lass, mama doesn't like this kind of stuff. It makes mama angry.
This is why I wanted to talk to you so badly, because it also makes me wild with anger, just wild with anger. Like we have so much power as individuals, as communities, to be able to create spaces where we can share information and keep people safe from predators. And again, if you want to go into this delusional rabbit hole where literally all of them have been set up by the government, take a step back, friends. Take a step back. Or again, do some research on like the prevalence of online predators and see like, oh, actually, that makes more sense.
I mean, seriously, and that's the thing. And like with UFO Twitter, like I always say, it's like, stay the frick off UFO. I mean, really, like I want to know where that came from. I want to know, I mean, come on, that was not just put there for fun,
Again, it's so funny because I talked about this with Jack, like this idea of like the intelligence community, and it could be anything, but anytime you see kind of what seems like deliberately bad actors operating in a space, intentionally antagonizing people, or again, going off the deep end with things, it's like, is this an op to discredit people who have had real experiences or people who actually want to have a real community? And it's also, like you said, these online trolls that just want to sow divisiveness. I'm the right one, you're the wrong one, or I support this one person who I'm sure he's going to disclose things one day, I swear. Like, okay, friends.
And I really, like, for me, with all the research that I've done, specifically on Utah, in my opinion, I really feel that Bigelow and a specific group of people has been behind a lot of this, and they're doing it for political motivations. And, I mean, hey, he's a BFF of, a former president. Now he's flitting around and donating millions of dollars to another person who's promoting dangerous conspiracy theories and things. And it's like, what better way to go in for a group of people who have a specific goal in mind, not only to make money and to con people, but to grift, but to also steer the political climate. And I think, to me, it's not, I really don't know if it's so much the intelligence community as private individuals.
Yeah. Yes.
Peter Thiel's a great example.
Oh my, of course. Yes, you have. And it is that idea of certain specific interests who want to drive a narrative, who want to foment chaos. And again, you mentioned the grift. I think about this all the time. The field is full of grifters, again, who are preying on vulnerable people, which of course gets my hackles up immediately. And trying to sell their books or trying to fill their conferences. Like I saw some sticker price on an online conference that like made my head spin. Like it's, people want it, again, exploiting people who want truth. And it's clearly people who are bad actors who, again, want money, want to foment dissent, because guess what? Disaster capitalists, they're out there and they make a lot of money from unhappy people.
And, I mean, I think there's specific people who are really, they're psychopaths. I mean, narcissistic psychopaths. And, and so that's really scary. And just to see the damage, like you mentioned, the damage they do. And I bring this up because I was so disturbed at going to the conference here in Utah. And to see people like literally that I have known for years, and to know that they're like, oh, hey, we see, something, go to a social media site, and then all of a sudden these predators that are involved in a specific narrative, are, hey, we saw your photo, can we come to your house? And then we're going to tell you that you've got, I'm not kidding you, literally, that you are psychic, you have got these special gifts. And then, to top it off, it's like, hey, we know that you are seeing UFOs. And so we are going to sell you this little box that is going to go in your bedroom and hook up to your computer and hook up to your phone. And we are going to monitor everything you've got going on. And then guess what? You can pay to join a subscription service so you can go in to see your own data. I just sat there and I watched like these little cult people that were like, I'm so cool, I'm sitting at this table, and it was just like, and then you've got people that are, oh my God, wounded, veterans that are dealing with, PTSD. Yes. And it's just like, you people are sick. You people need to get to be exposed.
Yes.
That whole community up there has been completely compromised, and it's sad.
Oh God, that just hurts me, like on a soul level. Like that is so, again, it's so cruel, and it is so clearly, again, this sounds like a cult. Like it is not. If you don't allow free inquiry, if you don't allow questioning, if you, again, devices to monitor like your communications, are you kidding me?
No.
That
people are signing up for that. It's like the same thing with the Gary Nolan stuff. It's like, come take my, all my medical tests, and here, let me chop off my arm and you can send it off, and Dr. Nolan can tell me I've got starseed DNA. And it's like,
God,
what?
I mean, all the hybrid stuff is just also new age racism to me, because it's, I want to, you want to set yourself up as different and special than the rest of the plebeians who walk.
There's only one of those. Actually two, you and me.
Perfect. We should actually create a course to help people access their hybrid DNA.
Yes. I love it.
It's like, if I were slightly more evil, I could make a lot of money.
Seriously, I can't even pay for my show costs. I'm like, seriously, I guess I need to be Corey Good and little Lord Fauntleroy is what I call him, David Wilcox.
I remember the first time a friend of mine shared one of his videos. It's like, oh no, okay, now I've completely reevaluated you as a person. If you think that this is true, not even just okay, true, real, this person has access to real information. Like, no.
Oh, when you're talking to squirrels, I understand you're privy to a lot of information. Did you see the squirrel video?
I didn't.
Oh God.
I'm gonna write that down. Look at that later.
Yeah.
Be horrified.
Yeah. And granted, like, I love talking to animals and plants, but I try to keep that on the down low. I don't make videos of myself. Maybe that's later today, but
yeah. And again, I'm more than fine with spirituality.
Absolutely.
Right? Like most of the time I call myself a witch. Like I also have like a giant plant shelf right here. Like I love my plants. I feel connected to other forces. I can't prove any of that. And I don't need to. And I don't need to like prove it to other people and make sure they believe it. This is my little belief, and I carry it, and I'm happy with it, and I walk through the world that way. Again, it's not science. And when you're saying like, oh, there's a real thing going on out there, I can prove it, or I have access to secret information. I can't tell you what the source is.
Right.
Trust me, for sure, I'm 100% legit, I swear. Again, it's like, has no one ever taken a research methodology course? Like, none of, what?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we even passed second grade. I don't know. It's like, and I have to go back and just look at myself and go, oh my Lord, Mary, Margaret, and all the holy people, save me now, bathe me in holy water, because like I've been there, done some things, but I'm like transparent. It's like, okay, these are the mistakes I've made. Here you go. We can laugh about it. We can be kind of a little frightened, but I'm learning from it, and I'm trying to show you what is happening to other people. I'm not alone in this. And I'm a very spiritual person. I mean, I, like you, it's like for me, I mean, I've had experiences in my life that I can't explain,
Mhm.
and they're very personal to me. And
Mhm.
that is, I think that's what makes life so enchanting,
Yeah.
and it should be empowering, and
Yeah.
I feel, another sense of disappointment in and of the fact that you're taking something that should be empowering to the human race, and you're turning it into something that frightens people,
Mhm.
that divides people, that puts, that manipulates, and harms people.
Yeah.
And that really is just, like you said, it's evil. It is absolutely evil.
Evil. Yeah. Yeah. Cause like you said, again, I think about, like, my grandfather was an experiencer, and he only told this story once, and he only partly got through the story before my grandmother started making fun of him. He never talked about it again. But again, after he passed, like, I found all of these UFO paperbacks. He clearly he saw something in the sky. He didn't know what it was. And he spent years trying to figure out what it was. It clearly had an effect on him. I've never seen anything. I mean, I've never seen anything UFO. I've seen weird stuff before and had very weird experiences. Again, that potential for tapping into something and having that greater awareness that there is something else out in the universe that we don't have access to. And that, to me, that's so exciting. Like, oh, I don't know what this thing is. Let me read a bunch of things. Let me talk to a bunch of people. Let's explore what these things could be. And then and you have these people who decide, no, I know what it is, and I'm going to tell you what it is, or I'm going to sell you information about what it is. And again, in some cases, just ruining people's lives. Like, they spend decades invested in research,
Right.
invested in the field, and then realize, like, come out of it later, like, oh my God, all that wasted time.
Right. I mean, friends are lost, families are lost,
Yeah.
jobs are lost. I mean, it has a debilitating effect on
Yes.
people. And because it's like this is addictive, like, oh, I'm going down this rabbit hole and I'm making all these discoveries. It's like Q. And,
Yes.
it's just, I mean, I look back on my time at different conferences and just think, this is just so messed up. I mean, just like like I've said on different shows, it's like you go back and you look at, at 6 a.m, all the experiencers are going to meet and we're going to be hypnotized. And then, oh, you are special and we're receiving messages from the Pleiades and, all of this stuff. And they are here to save the planet. And it's like, okay, I mean, no, but it's like, I just, it's,
Mm.
I don't know. I
Eh,
just think it's just really nutty. And I think
eh,
too, like and I mentioned yesterday in the opening of my show,
yeah.
the death of that sweet young man who was
Yes.
22 years old and, was having a serious
Yeah.
mental health issue, and
Yeah.
thought he was seeing shapeshifters. And he'd mentioned in the 911 call that he had had a spiritual awakening 10 years prior. And then Lord knows what was subjected to,
Yes.
potentially. And then he's just asking for help, and what happened. And it's just like,
I
there's
know.
so many people like that out there.
Yes.
And I feel a sense of responsibility,
Yes.
because I like people. I care about people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we should all care about people, and we should have that connectedness and that cohesiveness that we've lost thanks to, the internet, in a lot of ways, thanks
Absolutely.
to whatever is taking place politically
Yeah.
and things. And that's really, we need to find that power, that personal power again, and we need to connect to people, and we need to respect people and respect, our planet. I mean, I don't mean to go all, I'm gonna be out
Uh,
hugging the tree later, but I'm sorry, like I don't care. I love my planet. I love looking at all of the beautiful things that I see every day.
yes.
I love
Yes.
talking to my clients and smiling at somebody on the street. And I think that there's so many wonderful things worthy of focusing on, and
Mhm.
and saving. It's just like, and we're at a point we can no longer, in my opinion, sit back and say, hey, somebody else is going to do this for me. No,
Right.
it's not going to happen. As a woman, I'm losing my rights. As I mean, my freedoms are disappearing. As a woman who's been physically abused in a violent, domestic violence, a really
Oh God.
nasty situation, and having,
Yes.
different people in law enforcement treat me the way that they have, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I can't, as a person has gone through that, and you can
Yeah.
relate because you've been studying
Yes.
things, it's like, as a person who's gone through that, I can't sit back and watch when I know that things are taking place in the police department, or a specific, we've got some groups of alleged domestic violence advocates in Utah. And I've been really keyed into what they're saying. And it's like, you see this news story of, woman got killed, but hey, if you think that you are in danger, then call the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. And they do such great things that they actually pay for funerals. And I'm like, what? What? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you. You can pay for my funeral. What the frick?
I that is something to talk about again. Like I worked for a professor who did an assessment of the Cook County domestic violence program, and I worked with her for 2 years when I was an undergrad. And I was steeped in that research for a couple of years. Everyone's always like, why don't women call the police or go to the police? It's because the police will not, they don't care. They don't care. They won't listen to you. Typically, also, again, a woman is abused. She's crying because someone has been brutalizing her. So it's when the cops show up, dude's, again, an abusive narcissist, super calm, turns on the charm. We just got into a tussle, like she, how women are, right? And the cops go home. And it's, and also that idea of like, well, why don't people leave? It's like, because usually leaving is what completely sets a guy off. And then, like, again, 60% of women who are murdered by current or former partners.
Right.
That's just the research, And so, yeah, unless you are working towards addressing and dismantling systems of oppression, systems of domination, patriarchal systems of identity and relationships, but you'll pay for a funeral. How generous.
And my taxpayer money is going to that, and I have, I have a lot of, I've grown up in Utah, and I have a lot of friends in, that in politics and different, areas, in Utah that are very prominent. And I made a post on my Facebook, and I just said, this is the quote from Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. And, this is, whatever. And I had, messages from people in influencing, influential positions, and, oh, we're so sorry. What can you do? And can you talk, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, you guys are making money. And not only that, but this group of people is literally going around and paying for training for police officers. And I would like to know, dig into that a little bit. Really, who's doing that training, and who did you train? Because it wasn't the Salt Lake City Police Department. Because literally, and I've just got to vent for a minute, and thank you. But
yes,
literally, when I, when I first, called in, I had a specific detective, and he was literally, because my former, my ex was a deputy sheriff, of course, former deputy sheriff, and then was military police. It was like, oh yeah, all that whole, hey, bro, yeah, cool. And I've got recordings of him saying, oh, I know how to work that officer. And, sure as crap, literally the same officer has been in charge of every one of my cases. This is an officer that 6 months ago, when I had a video of me being hit in the head repeatedly with a closed fist.
Oh my God.
Insane. I've got this videotaped.
Yes.
Like, because I knew I was going to die.
Of course.
And then he literally says, well, I closed that case because there wasn't enough evidence. And I was like, in the end, I talked to him and I believe him. And I just literally, after being traumatized and still am traumatized because I'm in fear of, this coming to my doorstep at any moment. And like having this abuse continued by the authorities, it was just like, holy crap. I mean, I'm not safe. I can't call the police. They're not going to help me, and here's this, I mean, it's been insane. And so I had to do my own grammar request. I had to pay to get documents and get the case reports. I've done this on every single one. And I've submitted 6 different cases where I've got physical evidence. And, I go in there and I read it. Well, no, he threatened to kill the president. No, no big deal. Okay. He did, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And, like literally, I saw that the case was closed. So I called the DA and I said, do you want to tell me why you closed this case? Well, the police officer said there wasn't enough evidence. How about you take the afternoon, get your friends together, look at the case, and why don't you get back to me? Half an hour later, oh my God, we are so embarrassed. We're so sorry. This should have been prosecuted. Really? Yeah, really?
Yes. This is what, again, is so wild to me. You have all these people who are believing in these government conspiracies when you have literal government, like police-wide conspiracies that are out in the open, that we can all document, that we can all look at, that are in research literature of just covering this stuff up. It's not like some grand government conspiracy, but it's just like, oh, well, we're friends. And so we're just going to not address any of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, hey, bro, you're in the Oath Keepers. Cool. All right. You've got, I mean, like literally,
oh my God.
I mean, I could write it. I will. I mean, this needs to be out there. And I'm so grateful that I've got a reporter who's been exposing this.
Great. Yes.
And we'll continue to do that. But between, between the police and the National Guard and different people that have covered for a person that is really a danger to society, it's like, holy cow. And that makes me, let me look at Gabby Petito. I mean,
I know.
Utah, fail, look at all these other, women who are being across the country, who are being, victimized and murdered, and they get a blip in the newspaper, and, that's okay. And then you've got the UFO community who's like you're mentioning, it's like where predatory behavior is commonplace, and where people don't have the moral courage and fortitude to stand up and hold people accountable for, victimizing other people.
I read Jack's book. I read the transcripts of what David Jacobs said, but hearing the audio on your show was chilling to me. And again, it's not only stuff that he recorded, sent to Emma Woods, and is publicly available. But I still don't, I mean, again, among the people I know, we're all like, oh man, that guy's the worst. I don't see a public outcry. Again, we're talking about leaders in the field.
Yeah.
This is pretty easy to point out and say,
what you see is me getting harassed on social media.
Yes. I know.
Awesome. Yay.
Again, it's so, first of all, I mean, my brain is just short circuited because I'm just so angry about all of this, right? That there is like again, it almost feels like standard practice to not only to excuse abusers and to abuse. If that is your entire field, or a chunk of your field needs to go. It needs to be burned down and built up from the ground again, because what is there is rotten. It is rotten. And again, it prevents people from engaging with any of this stuff,
right.
Like I also read about ghosts as a kid, read about UFOs. Like I was deep in all of that stuff, but I kept to myself because anytime I tried venturing into any of those worlds, I was like, oh, cool. I'm either going to be treated like an idiot or a sex object or both by every guy I meet. I'm out. I'll just be in my corner doing my own thing. And it's only now that I have found a community, mostly on Twitter, not UFO Twitter, but Twitter.
Comforting.
of people who actually care about other people and who want to talk about the ideas around the phenomenon without getting caught up in, again, essentially what feels like an MLM most of the time in terms of the
Right.
courses and the books and all that other
Right.
kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's great. It's great that you found it. I want to be part of your group. Let
Yeah,
me in.
you are now, of course.
Okay. Yes. Mama is living right. I'm telling you. No, I mean, and that's so important because we need a support system, and
Yes.
and that's where I just look at ufology as a whole and just say, wow, you fail.
Absolutely.
And I look at, now I go back and I look at the, experience of research teams and, all of these people that again are manipulating people's belief systems and things. And I just, yeah, you guys, boy, I mean, somebody really should be investigating some of these things.
Yes.
I think, but
that again, because it's not like, I mean, again, the David Jacobs case is extraordinary, but like there's so much information that is readily accessible. You don't have to do that much. It's basically a Google search and you can find everything. And again, for it not to be addressed, to not be communicated, or again, it's just like you and Jack Brewer that I know of who are actually trying to shine a light on all of this and have a critical eye towards it. And a critical eye towards the grift, because so much of it is so clear. Like, again, that MLM, it's like, you're being scammed. Like, do you know that this is a scam? I know you want to believe this really hard, but just take a step back,
right.
Really evaluate. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really comforted that there are a few people that I have also met on Twitter. So I will give some props to some Twitter peeps that I know, but it's like that are like Josh and Artemis. They're really cute. They've got a show that they do. And there are people out there that are, I mean, trying to say, wait a minute, what is Lou Elizondo doing? I mean, what are they doing at Skinwalker Ranch? I mean, it's just like, I mean, people are, we're finding each other. We're going to do this. And I really, like, I've always felt, maybe I'm just, Don Quixote. I realize I've got that windmill complex, but I guess I'm not going to stop. But I really feel that now is a time, not only in our nation's history and in world history, but where, we have an opportunity, we can make a difference. We can make a change. And people are paying attention and they are starting to call people out. And, it's the louder we become and we say, wait a minute, we're not going to be abused like this anymore. And we're not going to let younger people who come into the subject be abused. We're not going to let women be sexually harassed. We're not going to let people with mental illness that need help. We're not going to let them be victimized. I mean, it's like, I think we can make a difference. And I just think to all of those UFO, the elite that told me that nothing can be done, I say to you, stuff it.
Yes.
That's what I say. That was really tough. You get the snap.
You deserve it.
I know. Can't wait to do that to their face.
Oh, please videotape. Oh, record it and send it to
me. I so wish I would have had somebody with a video camera that went up to the conference with me and Vernal, because just to watch everybody's face, it's like, oh my god, it's Erica.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm literally sitting there just watching the conference, like everybody like, oh, they're coming in the other door. They're like, I mean,
right.
But it, does make me feel good that they know that I know.
That you're clearly making like an impact crater, right? Because they're scared. That's just me. I like if I'm scaring bigots, it makes me very happy.
You're wearing your Fred Perry shirt around. You're flashing your colors. I got you. I got it. I got what you're doing.
And again, that we're just not going to talk about it, right? We're not going to, like you're talking about oath keepers and all, again, this like fascist and fascist adjacent stuff. We're just Okay, but that's just politics. We can talk about UFOs here and we can leave that at the door. It's like, well, no, you can't, because again, as you've been mentioning, like if there is a either like corporate financial interest or a government interest in certain narratives being in a community, then you absolutely need to be talking about politics. You can't leave it at the door. It's part of it.
I mean, it's like, let's look at Coast to Coast. That's a perfect case study. I mean, you've got, I mean, how many years have they been on promoting, oh, you get your herbal supplements and, you get your, I mean, oh, this is your cure for COVID and blah, blah, blah. And then, you've got, oh, hey, here's a little, story about a shape-shifting werewolf over here. And then, we've got, oh, the Illuminati, the New World Order, they're coming, and then you're going to throw in, hey, here's an interview with Roger Stone. Okay, cool. But hey, better yet, we've got Skinwalker Ranch at 5, followed by the head of the Oath Keepers at 6. It's just like,
I know.
okay, so I would love to keep politics out of this. It shouldn't even be involved in this.
Right.
This should be about a scientific, process where we are, coming up with answers to things.
Yes.
But this is about politics, and it is right in your face. And people like Alex Jones are using conspiracy to terrorize families who've lost their children.
Yes.
And that's okay. And why hasn't anybody, I haven't heard anybody call out Coast to Coast for promoting that kind of crap. And I think that's, I guess maybe they don't have enough, I guess, I mean, I understand you're going up against George Knapp. It's got to be scary.
Of course. It's one of those things where, again, I understand that it's scary, right? But there are so many people who are like-minded, who again can see the grift, and who also, I feel like, again, we just all need to band together and start pointing it out, because I think a lot about this in terms of the paranormal community too, where you have people who are traumatized, who are like, and like lots of childhood trauma, and are less inclined to speak out against something wrong. They might be quiet, or they might just go along to get along to kind of keep things smooth. But as soon as somebody comes out swinging, suddenly they're all like, oh, it's safe for me to call this out. And then they're all talking about it. Like you just need to figure out, like, who are your people, who are on the same page, and then just go forth and start talking about it, start calling it out. And, as you mentioned, like, you're referencing specific episodes, like specific things, like go just point it out. You just have to point it out. You don't even have to make some grand declaration. You just actually find the evidence there and just present the evidence. Let people make their own conclusions, right? But it's all there.
It certainly is. And it's, I mean,
Yeah.
And same with, there's another, where Wilcox and the little secret space brothers, Mars jumpers, whatever they are, like, had their little, TV station or whatever, let's meditate. Oh, I just came from Mars, and Heil Hitler. Awesome. Good deal. I mean, it's just like, so it's all there. It's just people need to get a freaking clue. And also, when people are standing up, other people have to come to their defense, because I will tell you, for, almost 10 years of being in the public, I have very rarely had anyone defending me, ever. Here I am being called a whore on social media. Here I am, getting death threats over here, blah, 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 and it's like, who had my back? Oh, nobody. So
Right.
Come on, people, stand up. Let's create a group of people who are going to be there and be supportive.
Yes.
Exactly. We have to, because this is, it's serious.
It's serious. And again, we're seeing this fascist takeover of multiple weird spaces, right? The UFO community, I see this in the paranormal community, in in the pagan community. There are a lot of, kind of fashy things that people are like, not that inclined to call out. It's like, okay, you don't want to start a fight? Guess what? They're going to start a fight with you eventually. You might not be the target now. Fascists come for everyone eventually. You're not special, right? You're not going to be the good one who gets saved. They're going to come for you too.
Right. Isn't, you know, and then we never even, you know, how many years have we been warned about another country who has been in the middle of every single one of these communities? I don't know. Oh, is it happening? Oh no, but he's our BFF, so we're all good. Hey, cool. I mean, come on, wake the frick up.
You can just follow the money. Like it's not even that far removed. You can usually find the investors. That's also public information. But we're all just going to act again like it's not part of some, that there aren't other interests at play that are guiding the narratives and guiding the community. Like, you know, you mentioned like supplements. It's like, I feel like it's always like colloidal silver, meal replacement powder, like, and it's like, these things that you are selling are also driving a narrative of fear that everything is going to collapse. You know, I just remember at the beginning of the pandemic where, you know, people really thought it was just going to turn into the apocalypse, like some road warrior apocalypse immediately.
Totally.
And
hey, I've got my bug out bag.
You know, and you all should, everyone should. But also like all I saw were, and again, I think I've got a good collection of friends. Everybody I knew was like, hey, if you don't have a car and you need groceries, let us know. We'll pick up stuff for you. Like everybody was coming together because it felt like things were coming apart at the seams and there was no like, you know, social governmental support. Again, it's such a toxic and myopic view of what the human experience is, because when pushed, most people I knew wanted to help each other, wanted to take care of each other, wanted to keep the community safe.
That's so great. I mean, that really is great. And I mean, I will say, you know, in here in Utah, it's like, I remember, and I think there were, you know, there was panic. I mean,
Sure.
You know, got 20 cases of COVID, shut down, everybody shut down. And, you know, we've got, I mean, I remember being in the Walmart, and I mean, I would see like people in my ward, because I grew up LDS, you know, I mean, they're like pushing me out of the way to get like 20 bags of flour. And I was like thinking, okay, wait a minute, you guys have been stockpiling for a long time. I need a bag of flour. Really?
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so it was just a very interesting thing. And then, you know, of course, again, that fear environment, you know, sponsored by the NRA. Okay, great. Let's, you know, and granted, like now I have a firearm. I might have several, but I also need them,
Need
you know.
them. Yes.
but, you know, and so, but it's just, you know, there are specific people that have made a lot of money during the zombie apocalypse. And
yes. And again, you can make a lot of money on disasters,
Right.
whether real or created ones. And if you are, again, constantly thinking that the government is out to get you and everybody is lying to you and society is falling apart, and again, there's this secret cabal and it's called the Illuminati or whatever word that they're using these days, and it's all these machinations behind the scenes. Oh, but here's this book, or here's this course, or here are these supplements, or here's these meal plans, you know. And it's like, and again, you are just abusing people who are already vulnerable, already scared. And the evil of that, just the cruelty of that. Like, how do you sleep at night? Like, I couldn't do that. So I don't know how people can.
When you're a narcissistic psychopath, you can sleep just fine because you don't really care about anybody but yourself. And you know, and that's, and that's sad, but it is, you know, we don't understand it because we don't think that way.
That's it. And I think too that we don't have conversations about narcissistic abuse and what that looks like and how insidious that is. And again, how people just, again, they're able to turn on the charm, and then they just bring people to them, and then they start pushing boundaries, and they see like, oh, you'll be the one that I show these like secret government texts to. So then you'll feel special, and then you'll be devoted to me. But like, again, this is all grooming, like abuser grooming behavior.
Yes. Yes, exactly. You know, and I will say, you can look at the place I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
My mom's been telling me to rein it in on, you know, and I mean, you could look at that and you can see the way, oh yeah, Mr. Nice Guy. And, I mean, oh, I'm going to give you a little bit of that piece of information and you are so cool and, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I get it. I was there. I lived through it. And, and then you see the cult of Lou and, that same type of thing, except it's much more overt because of, some of the tactics, but, I mean, also beware of, just it's weird. Yeah. There's
even just beware, just be and be wary of anyone again, who is promising you something special for either implied or explicitly said like allegiance, right? Okay, I understand that NDAs are a part of a lot of creative projects, sure. And also, if you are making sure people can't talk freely about what you're working on, and it's not like top secret government information, I'm a little suspicious of what that actually is. To control the narrative to that degree, it's like, what are you hiding, friends? I thought you wanted to share information with the public. I thought that was the point of this scientific inquiry.
And what's so funny is there are specific people who, I have opened my kimono. My kimono is open. And it's like, first of all, I think it just barfed on myself. And second of all,
wrap that up, friend.
I mean, God, I mean, but, and then you look at like racist comments, opening your kimono, if you look up, I mean, do a search on that. Guess what? That's not what people should be saying.
Right.
And, and again, like, look at some of the people, look at their wording, look at the consistent use of wording and imagery in their YouTube videos or things that they're saying. And it's not on accident that somebody's sitting there with a firearm and, I mean, using, I mean, using patriot and I mean, these specific keywords. I mean, yes, I'm a patriot. I think most people would think that they are, but when you're using that,
again, yes, it is subliminal background, again, narrative manipulation, because if you've got a gun, you've got the flag on the wall, and you're saying something, and there's that expectation, I'm saying the truth right now. And so if you go against that person, is the implication of, well, you're un-American, you're not patriotic, you're trying to undermine the good truth seekers in America who are trying to get this information out there. Again, have that critical eye. I'm so glad that, like, with all the craziness of my childhood, that my mother was just like always pointing out like sociological things, like, why does everyone believe that? Like, isn't this weird? Or did you notice this thing in the background? I got glued into that stuff immediately. So I'm always just like, why is this here? Why is this put together this way? Why is this person, like you said, using this language, has this in the background?
Right.
All image manipulation. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and go to Southern Poverty Law Center, go to the Anti-Defamation League, go to some of these websites and see the vast amounts of research that they've done on all of this. And I know that, there are people, because I've brought this up before, well, those organizations, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, right, because you're a racist.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
that,
come on.
Well, and again, it goes into that idea of like, oh, well, they're trying to discredit, right? Just like, the government is faking these, child pornography stings to get to keep the truth secret. It's like, oh, well, the Southern Poverty Law Center, that, and they make, I've heard, I can't think of any right now, but I've heard a lot of things like made up about like what their real agenda is or who funds them and all of that. It's like, okay, so you can have that line of critical thought about literally everything else, but not your thing. That's a problem. Like, again, I don't trust anything. I'm joyful about it, but I'm always just like, I don't know how I feel about this. Let me dig a little further.
Yeah.
That's for everything, not just like, oh, I have my special thing and no one can question it, but everybody else is wrong. It's like, again, that is also toxic, manipulative, abusive behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and that's just, I mean, and being, I mean, having up close and personal experience with being married to an oath keeper, being married to an abuser,
Yeah.
being married, I mean, to, to somebody who worked for Robert Bigelow. I mean, you couldn't really get, a more, I've had a lot of experiences. I can speak to all of this. And
Yes.
I sat there and watched the media consumption and the hate, message boards and, all these different things. And it's like, well, you guys aren't really that far off. So
Yes. Right.
I don't know. It's just, it's really, it's been, I've had an eye-opening experience in the UFO world and in, lots of different ways, but if other people can learn and feel supported, then that's, we're doing a good job.
And that's why, like, I'm so excited for the nonprofit that you and Jack put together, because again, the two of you, I respect what you're doing, your mindset about all of this, and then you have this whole archive. So if you could tell the audience what you're doing, what you're planning, what your next steps are.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm really super excited. Thanks for mentioning that. I have right now one of the really the best archives, UFO archives, historical in the Western United States, and I'm working on obtaining more files, research from people who have either passed on or need to want to preserve their information. And it's available to the public. It is in a commercial space. Obviously, I mentioned it's in my Pilates studio. I've got a 4,000 square foot studio, and so it's very, it's a great thing for me because I can nerd out, on my lunch break and teach Pilates. But it's perfect. But we are working on historical preservation. We're working on making sure information is shared with the public. There has been a big unfortunately, in the UFO world, there is a need to sweep up data and then push it into specific places where that information might not necessarily be put forward.
Yeah.
And so we're at a real interesting point in history where literally the history could be erased and rewritten, as we're seeing people now that they're trying to do, and we're not going to let that happen. And we're also interested in working with the local communities and interviewing specific people about, our culture, about folklore, about all of these wonderful things. And then also teaching people how to use science to get out there, to explore, to do field research, to, to learn about astronomy, to learn about, different, like for me, a big thing that I loved learning was about the aerospace industry, defense contracting, and then also, what are the flight patterns for different airports? How do things behave? How do we put things through a rigorous process to make sure if we are going to say that I've seen something that is unusual, then we can, go from A, B, C, and D, check everything off, and then yes, you've got it. But that should be a fun, empowering process. That shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, you're submitting this video of a helicopter, you stupid fool. It should be like, that is so great. You got out there and you looked up and you took a video and love it. And so let's look at this together and see what this is about. And, empowering people, whatever the outcome. This is a discovery process. And that's something that I think for both Jack and I, and then with his great work with all the FOIA requests and digging into things, there will be a whole lot of information available. And in my opinion, this will really change. This has the potential to change the direction of the UFO world. So we're really excited. Expanding frontiers research.
Fantastic. I will make sure to put links to that in the description too. Yeah, of course.
Oh, we've all got plans.
I like it.
More to come.
So good. Before I let you go, where can people find you online?
So you can find me at UFOclassified.com. You can find me on YouTube, Erica Luke's UFO Classified. I broadcast my show on Twitter, Facebook, UFO, I don't know, YouTube. I don't know. I'm out on social media somewhere. Erica Lukes. Troublemaker on the B list. Look me up.
Oh my God, put that on your business card, B-list troublemaker.
Well, I still got to get the t-shirts made that say slimy malcontent.
I love that. Like,
Okay.
what a power phrase. Like, yeah, guess what?
I'm owning it, man. I'm gonna make money off of it. Thanks, Bat Boy.
Thank you so much for listening and or watching, depending on where you found this podcast. You can find Erica online at Erica Lukes on Twitter. You can also find her work, Expanding Frontiers Research, at expandingfrontiersresearch.org. She and Jack are doing some incredible things already, exposing some less than savory financial dealings by some folks in the UFO community. And they really do care about disclosing information and making information public so people can make informed decisions. If you want to find Personal Pans, we are online on Twitter, as long as Twitter is around, and on Instagram at Personal Pans. And you can always find me at Kali Butterfly. That's Kali Butterfly. Again, thank you so much for watching, for listening, and I hope that you have a playful and curious day.